Good evening, everyone. Welcome to my weekly Node-RED live stream. I say weekly, I've been off for the last few weeks for the summer. But we're back here, and great to see in the chat already, some of the gang are here, for an hour or so of Node-RED development. That's what we usually get up to. Yeah, hope you've all had a good few weeks off. I have. I've been away. I've been not touching my laptop, which has been glorious, but it's start of a new term of kids are back at school, and yeah, we want to just crack on and do some interesting stuff. Now, I have just realised, well, not just realised, I can see I'm looking a hot mess in the camera at the moment, because about a quarter of an hour ago I realised we've got new carpets being fitted tomorrow in the room next door, and I had to just remove the old carpet, as you do. So I've just done a very panicked stripping out and lugging carpet downstairs just in time to come live stream to you lovely people. So that's my excuse for that. But what are we up to tonight? You don't need to hear about that. So you've not come here to hear about me stripping out carpets. You come here to see me do some Node-RED development. So what are we up to? Well, I think it's safe to say Node-RED 3.0 is well behind us now. It's been pretty stable, things considering. Yeah, we've had the odd issue raised, but nothing really critical, nothing really regression-like, nothing really urgent to fix. So rather than dive into bug fixes, we're actually going to look at some brand new development. If you were here the last time I was streaming, I was doing some work around exploring the art of the possible of removing D3, one of the libraries we use. I'm not going to get back into that because I think the next work on that is really quite deep in the weeds, and it's probably not so interesting for you guys to watch me poke around and, just poke around in the internals without really making intelligent sense. So tonight we're going to look at a new feature. So this came up from some feedback from a enterprise user of Node-RED. The short version is allow you to link to individual nodes by the URL you enter in the browser. The URI fragment. It says URL linking. It should be your URI fragment is what it should say, really, if you want to be all technical about it. So what I'm just going to do is, look, my workspace, if you can see it, make it big. Like I said, I streamed, I then did a week of work, and then I went on holiday for 2 weeks. So my workspace is still the D3 stuff we were doing before. So what I'm just going to do for the moment, I should have done this before I started streaming, but those carpets weren't going to remove themselves. I'm just going to commit in this branch whatever it is we're doing as a work in progress commit, and when I come back to that I will revert it and keep going. Right, so we're doing new development, so we go to the dev branch. I do a git pull. I think a couple of things will be merged in the last, not a lot, a few bits. And we're going to create a new branch, and it's going to be URI Framents. Right, we're almost there, everyone. We are almost there. And then we're going to start Node-RED running. And once it starts running, we can go to localhost 1880. Come along. And, oh no, address in use. Oops, right, let me, go find, where have I got Node-RED running? Is that Node-RED running? Yeah, that is Node-RED running. Okay, so I've killed the other copy of Node-RED. We can now rerun this copy of Node-RED, which I'll do by just firing up. Run a file, restart. Restart. We're getting closer. We're getting there, everyone. Right. And here we are. Right. So for all of that, I'm sure you've either never noticed or you're quite aware, when you load up the editor, we changed the URL to have this fragment, hash flow / and then the ID of the flow. And we change that as you change tabs, which means, it means you can link to a specific tab in the editor. What this feature request was, the proposal was, what if we supported other schemes? So not just flow. What if you could hot link to other objects in the editor? So link to a node, a group, a junction, basically any element with an ID that we can reveal. Then, as an extension, if the fragment / ends with /edit, have it reveal that object and open its edit dialog. So the reason for this is if you're, I don't know, building a tutorial, or perhaps you're wanting to share a link with a colleague or someone else to your Node-RED instance, and you want to point them at a particular node, it just provides a convenient way to do that. So that's what we're going to have a look at doing. I say this, if you want to follow along more closely, this is in the Node-RED designs repository in the discussion forum, which tends to be the place we stick ideas that perhaps need a bit more thought or a bit more discussion, or that we're just not quite in a position to dive straight into a PR. But this one, it is fairly well specified, and it's fairly straightforward. So in fact, we're just going to dive into it. So there are two parts. There are three parts. There are some parts. There are two halves, that's what I should say, to the behavior. One half is when we load the editor, checking this fragment and revealing the right thing. Then that's one part. The other part is the fact that the editor updates that fragment as we navigate around. So what it goes into in the discussion here is there's an outstanding question. I think I know the answer to, but I'm not 100% on, is, okay, if we can support these fragment types to navigate to a node, but I don't think it would be the right answer that, every time you select a node, for it to update that fragment up there. Because then what happens if you select lots of things, for example? And there's just lots of weirdness. So I think my starting point, until I've implemented some of it and we can get a better feel for it, is we will keep the fragment as the flow fragment. And to begin with, we will just add support for if someone were to type in hash node, something like that, then we would do the right thing. Let's just get the console up so we can... And then as soon as you change flow, note the fragment reverts, or doesn't revert it, the fragment is updated. And it would certainly be possible to have a right-click option on a single node. Now we have the context menu, have a copy link to node, which would just copy to your clipboard the appropriate URL with fragment to link to that node. Okay. That makes sense. Cliffo asks in the chat, would you be able to link to a slug or user-defined readable name? I don't know. Honest answer, I don't know. We could specify something like maybe do something like that where we only pay attention to certain levels of this hierarchy and then everything after is ignored. So you could stick whatever slug you wanted in or whatever text you wanted in. But for now, I'm just going to stick to the IDs. For now. Okay. Right, let's sort of warm up the cogs in our brain to think, where should we go looking for this fragment handling? Let's go see what we do, how we manage the fragment today. Yeah, that's a good point, Noxyvoid, that you've got to make sure it's URI safe. So you'd have to escape non-safe characters, and then that loses, or encode them, whether it escaped or just substituted. There's, and you could names aren't unique is the other challenge. So we're just going to stick to the node ID for now. So I've come into red.js in editor client, functionally the main entry point to the editor code, and I'm just scrolling down through it because I'm stalling whilst I just think about where have I stuck the code. Here's init, load editor. That's going to do a bunch of work. Right, let's collapse things down so it's a bit more readable. Complete load, I think. Complete load. We then go and subscribe to notifications. Load and no. So I was expecting it to be around here because it's right around here that we do the work. Let's see, where else could it be? Yeah, complete load. This is kind of where I'd expect the logic to be, but it's not. So where have I put it? Let's go have a look. Maybe it is squirreled away in UI workspaces. It's a W I'm looking for in the list. Workspaces. Let's collapse that down. Here's the init function. Registering all the different actions you can do. Actions. We like our actions. No. Okay. We're going to have to brute force this. Search and folder, navigator, I think is probably navigator language. No, don't cover that. We're not doing languages. We're not doing the clipboard. We're not doing the keyboard. We're not doing user agent stuff. We're not doing the view navigator. Nope, it's none of those. Oh man, I've done a good job of squirreling this code away then. I'm just trying to think. Main.js. Window.location, maybe rather than navigator. Window.location. Here we are. This is the sorts of hits we're looking for. Yes. Current hash. Perfect. This is what I was looking for. So, yeah, okay. Red.js, I was right to be looking here, but it was not at the end. It's halfway through, or 80% of the way through. Load flows. So this is when we're actually loading the flows into the workspace. It does the request to go get the flows from the flows API. Then So if it actually gets some nodes to load into the editor, we go and check window.location.hash, which gives us the fragment part of the URL. We then, as we then import those nodes, initialize stuff, and then here it is. So we go and have a look at what the current hash is, and the reason we store it up here is because we've got the logic that changes the fragment to reflect the current tab. When you do this import, and it imports the first tab, or it imports the tabs, it drives we need to update the fragment. So we squirrel away here. What's the fragment to begin before we import anything, knowing it could get changed, and then we operate on it. So here we go. If we are looking at something which is a fragment that starts hash flow / and then something, then it tells the workspace, or just show that workspace. All well and good. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some extra conditions or some extra tests in here. Yeah, why not? So we can just, there may be more elegant ways of doing this. What do we say? Is it node? Yeah. Node. Okay. So if it's a node, then we want to do a red.view. I want to say reveal. Is that right? Red.view.reveal. Yeah. And then the node ID. So reveal and then the node ID, which is current hash substring 6, and then right, I just want to go have a look at workspaces.show. I want to check what this true is. Which is defined down here. Show skips that. Okay, yeah, ignore that. We don't need to worry about that. So, doing all of that should, all being well, reveal the desired node in the workspace. So let's give that a go. Yeah. So let's, oops. Yeah. I'm still not 100% sure on this, all this hiding, how easy it is to accidentally hide flows. Anyway, that's for another thought. What are we doing? We are going to, just to make life interesting, open up the flow navigator, scroll it down here somewhere, stick and inject, deploy it, and we just copy ourselves that node ID. So now, if I open up node /that, it doesn't do anything. Oh, there we are. There. So it revealed the node, and it did do the yeah, did do the flashiness, which do we want? Because we don't do the flashiness on the tab, but you know what? I'm going to do a brand new window because there's a few bits of behavior. It all flashes by, but I want to kind of talk through. So we're going to enter this as the fragment node and its ID, and notice how, yes, it's revealed it, but the fragment has also been changed to the flow and number. Yeah. So what I'm thinking is, what if I've linked us to something that's not the current flow, it would be kind of polite to leave the window, the hash as it was. So if I it's not doing it, but that could be a caching thing because I didn't have the developer tools open. You can see it sort of flash back and forth a bit. I think there's a bit of contention going on. Yeah, Steve, yeah, we can easily disable the flash with a false there, but I think for these purposes you're linking it to because you want it to be found. So I don't have an issue with the flash, but what I do have a bit of an issue with is someone else's, well, not someone else, I think this code. So this code is getting triggered whenever we change the tabs. I just want to add in a, oh my, there's some indenting a line. That's, yeah, sorry, that's what it should be. Updating hash. Yeah, so it is update, yeah, in here. Oh, is it? Oh, is this one of those silly asymmetric things? Window.location.hash is like that. And then if I set that to foo, notice how it has changed it up there. If I set it to hash bar, oh no, that did work. Okay, so it doesn't matter if I stick the hash on at the beginning or not, which is good to know. So here we're going to do console.log keep fragment as current hash. Well, with the reveal, it does try, if it's not in sort of the main view, it does try and centralize the flash. But no, there is no way to extend it. So if we do node blah blah blah, yeah, so look, there's a bit of a race going on here. Updating hash gets called twice, but that's, one is the initial load, the second is I think it's this. So what's going on here? Basically, because this is, remember, this is all part of our initial load. Having no, blah blah blah. Let me. I think because we're not specifying a flow, then by the time it gets down here, nothing's active, so it calls show on workspace 0. And by calling show on workspace 0, that then calls it to revert, yeah, update the hash because we've called show, and we're doing that show. Emergency WhatsApp answered. Yeah. So this call down here to workspace show workspace 0 is undoing our good work. So what are we going to do about that? We are going to say Yep. We are going to... Oh, we've got two ways about it, I think. We want to get the ordering of doing this work right, because here we've got a big block around hiding and showing tabs. I think we need to do the... I think we should be doing this stuff down here. I think kind of like the whole semantically what that means just makes more sense to do it this way around. So if we go to node that, okay, it's taken us to the node, but it has again reverted our hash. Yeah, definitely it's something is what I'm going to do now is just using console.warn I can get some stack traces, so if I can work out who's doing that second call. So look, here you can see we get two calls to updating hash, one with BDB and then with 40E. Well, 40E is the one our fragment is specifying. BDBE is the first one. So that's why we get two calls, because as we load the editor, it's first showing the first tab and then it's saying all the fragment set. So we should be showing something else. So if we say node and stick the node ID in, so you can see we get updating hash BDBC, which is because we've loaded the first tab, it's what it does, that's okay. Then there's the new code, set hash to node B6, and then it's see that something is okay, here look, here's the call to reveal we're making. Because it's causing the tab to change, that's triggering an update of the hash. So I'm going to take out that console.warn because we're at the bottom of it. It should be a simple case of put the location.hash, reset location.hash after we do the reveal, because it's that call to reveal that's changing it. Yeah, and in fact, having said we want to move it, I'm going to move it back. Yeah, I think that's okay. So let's try. Ooh, no, that's not what I wanted on the paste buffer. B618. There, so there was a quick flicker, but it's left me with the node hash there, which is okay. I can move around, but as soon as I change a tab, then it syncs back to the tab. All right, well that's working. Now what if can we reveal a group? I think we can, because I remember Steve, you added stuff. Yeah, so we can just call reveal on a group. Let's see. Can we call reveal on a junction ID? No. Okay. Well, I can live without revealing junctions. That feels pretty unuseful. But what we can do here is say else if it's node or group, reveal it, except group is one character longer than node, so we can't use substring. So we're going to do split. And take the second thing. Right. So let's see. So if we go back to the node, in fact, I should be able to do, why not just say ID, then group or node? Because our existing URI scheme has flow first. Very simply point, and I'm being consistent with that. Oh, okay. I suddenly got a moment. Where did the group go? Well, it helps if I deploy the change. Right, do a reload. Yeah, it's revealed it, which is awesome. And then the group ID is this. And that's not worked. Interesting. What have I missed? The group is there. B19F4, yeah. It's not revealing the group. B19, it's taking me to the right flow, but it's not revealing the group. If I call, yeah, but if I call a reveal there, it does. So what is going on with that then? So Steve suggests try with the node of the group ID. Yeah, I will try that, but for the fact our logic is definitely kicking in because it's taking me to the right tab. But if I group B19, notice it has taken me to the right group and it has kept the hash. So it's definitely coming into this code. So change it with group won't affect what goes on. I think I know the problem, and I think it's a race condition with how groups exist. Let's go and have a look at what reveal is doing in the case of a group. So yeah, so here you can see it's handling both node and groups. So yeah, we're dealing with a group. So show the right workspace for it. Then I think this is where the problems begin. If we look at what these values are for a group, undefined, undefined. Now, if I call reveal manually, no longer undefined, no longer undefined. So the problem is we're calling the code to reveal the group before the view has even had a chance to draw itself. And if it hasn't had a chance to draw itself, then it hasn't had a chance to calculate the group's dimensions. So they are undefined. Yeah, that's the basic issue. Now what we might be able to do here is say if node.type is group, so we're in the reveal function, and not node.width, not node.height. I think we can do a red.view.redraw, but not any old redraw. We can do, in fact, no, we are going to not use the public API. We're going to call the internal API because we can. We're going to force a redraw. Now, normally the redraw is done in the animation loop, so it is completes asynchronously. But by calling this redraw, we are forcing a redraw synchronously. Now, how that might get buggered up by calling red.workspaces.show immediately before it, I'm not so sure, but it's worth a try. I'm just putting back that line of debug so we can see if it's made a difference. So we reload and it's worked. Notice, yeah, we've now got a width and height, and it successfully revealed the group. You're right, Bob tables. We don't do any checking. I don't think there's necessarily a problem that we don't check. Yeah, the fact you can use them interchangeably, yeah. But okay, so there's a few this is where things are now getting a bit weird. And this is an existing issue with our fragment handling. So here we've got a freshly loaded editor. If I switch tabs, so note we're on flow 40E, switch tabs we're on 762, switch tabs we're on BDBE. If I now hit the back button, the URI has changed because we've gone back in the history, but the editor hasn't changed. Yeah, and then if I hit back again, then again weirdness. Look, I can hit back quite a few times, and it's just cycling through the hash, but with no visual changes. That feels not very nice. Now it might be, oh blimey, how old is this? Here we go. We can use replace. Let's set the URL without adding it to the browser history. But that's replacing the whole. Okay, window location, read-only it's a read-only properties. So this answer that says, no, but we can call replace on it. Okay. Well, Noxie, I take your point. It's more, though, I'm keen not to break the just because you don't tend to need to. I think if you navigate to the editor and then hit back, you either expect it to go back in your history of where you've been in Node-RED, or go back to the page you were in previously. I think just, yeah. Let's just try and find, here we are, HTML standard, the location interface. Ooh, did I want to do this? Do I want to delve into, here we are, the replace function. Scanning through. Yeah, no, it's always been like this, but yeah, just having noticed it does kind of, yeah. So I think, so I know there's the history API which provides a better model. Not the history API, no, it's the push state, replace state. But and would let us listen if so. Yeah, it's the on pop state stuff. Again, I'm just looking for on pop state, then push state. Oh, there. The pop state event. There's a lot of spec. I'm not going to read it through, but okay. Point being, I think there's something to look at here. Yes, it is no worse, no better than it has been for a long time, but that doesn't mean its behaviour would want to. Yeah. So Steve asks, are you considering deeper linking, for example, open the nodes edit dialog? Well, if we refer to the design discussion, if the fragment ends with /edit, not only will the object be revealed, but its edit dialog will be opened. And yeah, so to answer your question, yes. It was interesting, the original proposal, well, this is pretty much the original proposal. They had suggested, and wouldn't it be nice if you had a function node with a whole bunch of code to be able to say right click on a line and say link to this line of code, and then somehow have a URI that not only does it reveal the function node, not only does it open its edit dialog, but it then also focuses that line of code in the editor. Now, if you're trying to point someone at a bug in their code or whatever, or help them, it sounds really useful. The hard part though is how remember the editor doesn't know the specifics of node edit dialogues. So, like here in the function node, we've actually got 3 entirely independent blobs of code. So, yeah, you'd end up having to have some way to map encode and map something that either the function node needs to do some work for itself. So this ability to link to individual lines of code would have to be a facility that individual nodes implement for themselves rather than a generic thing the editor can do. Which makes for kind of an inconsistent user experience. I'm always much prefer the solutions we can do that just apply to every node automatically, because it does just work. Yes, of course, we could do it for the core nodes, but we always try and avoid giving the core nodes special abilities that other nodes can't have fair access to. So anyway, I digress. That was me just saying there was these fancy other features that we could consider, but we're not considering today. So let's just crack on. Right. So what we are going to do is here we're going to say if what are we going to do? We are going to say first we're going to check flow node. Ooh, get my my fingers are off by one right there. Flow node or group followed by well, stuff all the way to the end. Test current hash. At which point we're going to say const hash parts current hash dot split on hash. Then we're going to say if hash parts is flow, then we do our flow logic. Else if hash parts node or hash parts group, then we will do our extra bits. Okay. Then we're going to say show edit dialog hash parts dot length. Well, so it's greater than 2 and hash parts. Hold on. Heard of 1, 0, 1, 2. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So by doing it like hash parts dot length is greater than 2. That does allow then it to be /edit/ and we just ignore whatever else. So you could create a URI which has a slug in it, and we will just ignore it. Which is probably okay. Which is it okay we ignore it? I'm just thinking. I'm sure there could be very contrived security issues around stuffing the URL with your application blah hash whatever blah blah / and then something looks very much like a bank's URL and it tricks a user into thinking it's that. No, I'm getting no all a bit too fanciful, I think. So done that, and then what we want to do is look up our code for how do we actually red.workspaces.edit. Yeah. So we do that, and then if show edit dialog, then workspaces.edit. Now there's again, there could be a bit of a race condition mishap possible here. Let's have a look. So if we stick /edit on the end, no, because it you know what, I'm gonna get out of the current loop and do it on the next loop, because I think the red.workspaces.show might be doing things. What happens if ID is invalid? That's a good question. We can deal with that in a minute. Okay, we're going to add in a... you know what, let's... Before I try and work out and add more elaborate timing windows, let's just make sure show edit dialog is actually true. Yeah, it is true. Hash parts length, but no, it's got length of 3, which is what we want. We want show edit dialog. Does NR have MDNS? Well, not built in, no. Yeah, I mean, this does work on the assumption you're editing in with a URL that is publicly accessible. There's not going to try to solve that problem right now. Yeah. We just need a sufficiently long delay here, just to let everything settle down. Yeah, see, it's not getting called, is it? We're never getting to show edit dialog. Yeah, so show edit dialog is true. Show edit dialog. Have I just forgotten how to write code? I mean, what is going on? Okay, that's false, but that's okay because we didn't have /edit on the end. We have /edit on the end. It's true, but nothing's happening. Does show cause navigate? No, because if it's causing navigation, it would be you'd get the whole loading. You would get this, the loading progress bar. Oh my, can you hear the rain outside my window? We had some good thunder last night, thunder and lightning. Not that my kids enjoyed it. But I'm perplexed. What on earth is going on? I'd love to... Or have we got... No. I was wondering if it was throwing an error, but no, the error would get caught down here and we'd be warning. Oh, is it still substring? Have I still got substring 6? No, I've got rid of sub... Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you are all quite right. So, let's unpick this. Also known as, yes, I'm an Idiot, thank you for crowdsourcing the fix. And yes, this should be hash flow. This should be hash node. This should be hash group. And we don't need to split again. We already have the split. It's still element 1. Yep. So I'm going to bravely, rashly, I don't know, get rid of that set timeout. Get rid of all my debug. Ooh, and there's a bit of thunder. I'm gonna have the kids up in a minute. Hey, there we go. Cool. So we can now, well, so we've done it for those guys. We now need to do it for nodes. How do we? Oh, and yeah, there's a. Yeah. Okay. Oh, it really is really raining out there. Don't know if it's coming over the microphone. Okay. Now, we had red.workspaces.edit, which, funny, very conveniently edits the active workspace, and you don't need to worry about anything else. Editing nodes is trickier. Yeah, this is... Well, the garden will be enjoying this rain. Right. So if show edit dialog, if hash parts... Now I can tell you, we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes. I need to drop off, but we aren't going to get to a pull request tonight because of what we're about to do. So red.edit, editor.edit, red.nodes.node, hash parts 1. So in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to forget about groups for the moment because they have to take a different route. Node to show, red.nodes.node. So here we're adding a bit of validation. If node to show exists, then we will reveal it. Node to show.id. We will restore the hash, and then if show edit dialog is true, we will, and we know we're in that case, no, okay. So let's just grab a node. A bit of thunder. Yeah, so that reveals the node. Now we stick edit on the end. There. So it's revealed it and it's opened up its edit dialog. Cool. Now, the reason why I'm not going to pull request this quite yet is configuration nodes and how they break it. So let's just find just add add in a MPC node with a config node. Okay, so now we have this node. Now, curiously, we don't provide a way to get that node's ID. Oh yes, we do. If you've, yeah, it's. So I have to have clicked on it here, then go to the info tab, and its info will be shown here. So if we copy its ID there and stick the hash in /edit. Well, in fact, before we do /edit, what happens if we try and reveal that node? Nothing, because we can't reveal config nodes. Although I thought calling reveal with a config node should open the config node sidebar and reveal it. Maybe I'm wrong about that, I'd have to check. But if I do this, red.nodes.node, yeah, red.view.reveal. No, that's done it. Did you see? If I red.view.reveal, it switched to the config sidebar and highlighted it. So red.view.reveal, that should have done it. But it didn't. Okay, it did that time. If I go to a different tab, yeah, okay, I think I know what the problem here is. I think the logic, we're now getting to a different race condition, the logic that chooses which sidebar to show is kicking in, perhaps. And whilst we try and reveal the config node, the code that deals with making sure we show the right sidebar when you load the editor, that might be kicking in first. So do a set timeout. With, in this instance, I'm going to set like 3 seconds. Ridiculously big, you know, let's just, you know, if I did like 100 milliseconds, or maybe we're racing another 100 millisecond delay somewhere, so right, so we load 2, 3, there. So after 3 seconds it did show the sidebar. So the problem here is going to be related to basically sort of race conditions over yeah, so that worked. I basically needed to break the but I think that's working, because now if we switch to, okay, that's working pretty reliably now, which is good. Okay, except no, okay, we're nearing. But here's the bug. Here's why I'm not going to try and fix this now, I don't think. Is if we try to go to /edit. Oh, it worked. Oh. I must have fixed that at some point. It used to be you had to do a different call if you want to edit a config node, but I clearly got that working. Nice. All right. What if you have a bad ID? You say that shouldn't do anything. And notice how the fragment actually reverted back to the flow. That's because I added this node to show, so it looks up the ID. If it's not a node, then it won't do any of this stuff, and it just ignores the fragment entirely. Okay, red.editor.edit group. Yeah. So yeah, it's a big copy and paste. Red.nodes.group. Now I'm sure I could. Yeah. A lot of copy and paste between these two, because I don't have to deal with the sidebar. We can get rid of the timeout for the group case. Let's check. Where's my group at? He's down here somewhere, isn't he? Keep going. There he is. So that group. There we are. That's all working. All right. So I guess, well, yeah, that's working now for nodes and groups. What we don't have is the right-click copy link to thing, but it's 9:10. I'm going to stop. So what I will do is get at least a draft PR in. Support UI fragments for nodes and nodes and groups, including edit support. Yeah, so where in the UI we put a copy link, it's one of those. It's one of those features. Node-RED is what, 13 years old? I lose track. And we've never needed this feature. So there is a question as to how prominent do we make any option around this. So having it, yes as an action, but then once it's an action, I think having it as a right click copy link to selected node, or that would be entirely doable. I've long thought about in the info sidebar having more toolbar options for the nodes along here, but yeah, haven't really established a pattern for that, and I think having a button here was perhaps too prominent. Yeah. Right, let's just do this as we should. I need to tidy up this template, but new feature implements that to support URI fragments linking directly to any node or group in the workspace. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And I'll raise it as a draft because I want to add support for copying the link. And with that, I'm going to say good night. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you're all back after a little hiatus, but we'll be back next week in for a run and for a few weeks. And yeah, keep up the good work. Let us know if there's stuff you want to see me cover, all that good stuff. Otherwise, I'll be back and we'll be doing more interesting new feature development next week. Good night, y'all. Until next time. I'm stalling because I'm out of practice and I'm trying to find the right button over there to click to stop things. I think I found it, so I'm going to say good night.